Welcome to Staff Works Explained. If you are here for the first time, please subscribe to this channel. You can watch different videos that you have done on different topics. Leave a comment and like. In today's video, we'll be looking at Ethiopia and Somaliland port access deal. The video is titled Ethiopia Gets Access to Red Sea. We'll be looking at the expansionist claims that were made by the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed that caused jitters in the region, the recent port access deal and what the deal entails, what Somalia has said and its response to this deal. We'll look at whether the deal will affect the recently revived talks between Somalia and Somaliland. We'll be looking at the security concerns and also the effects of this deal in the region. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed claimed on 13th October 2023 that his country has a right to demand maritime access to Red Sea port from its neighbors in the Horn of Africa, first through diplomatic means and or by force if necessary. This was rather confrontational. To many observers, Abiy Ahmed was threatening conflict should Ethiopia be denied what he called its intrinsic right to waterway expansion. Although he has since sought to soften his comments, the remarks nonetheless rattled the region. Abiy Ahmed alarmed countries in the region with his remarks. He invoked a 19th century Abyssinia warrior, Ras Alula Abanega, who proclaimed the Red Sea as Ethiopia's natural boundaries. Commentator says that this rhetoric echoed ambitious geopolitical powers like China and Russia, both of which have shown a willingness to use military force to demonstrate strategic waters, as evidenced by Russia's invasion of Crimea in 2014 and China's military posturing in South China Sea. With the recent port access deal with the breakaway region of Somaliland, the Ethiopian Prime Minister seems to have chosen the first option, that is the diplomatic way, going by his statement that he made in October 2023. Can we really term this as a diplomatic way since it has already rattled Somalia? That's a question that we'll be trying to answer as we proceed. First, we'll look at Somaliland. What is this country and what is the relationship with Ethiopia and Somali Republic? Somaliland is an autonomous region which is located in the Horn of Africa, while it has declared its independence from Somalia in 1991 following the removal of dictator Said Barre. It is not recognized internationally as a sovereign state. The country operates as a de facto independent entity with its own government, security forces, and also own institutions. The breakaway region, as it's referred, was a British protectorate until it gained independence in 1960. Shortly afterward, it joined the former Italian Somalia to form the Somali Republic. The union faced challenges leading to declaration of independence by Somaliland in 1991. The country operates as a democratic republic with a multi-party system. It has held several elections, including presidential and parliamentary elections, which are generally considered to be more organized and peaceful compared to the rest of Somalia. Hargeisa is the capital and the largest city of this country. Other major cities include Berbera, which is the port of interest in this topic, and Burao. The country has its own currency, which is Somaliland shilling, and operates separate administrative institutions including president, parliament, and judiciary. Despite its stability and efforts to establish a functioning state, it has not gained international recognition as an independent country. The African Union and the United Nations do not formally recognize its sovereignty. Compared to the rest of Somalia, the Somaliland has enjoyed relatively peace and stability. It has avoided much of the conflict and instability that has plagued the southern part of Somalia. Ethiopia attempt to access the Red Sea. So let's look at the background of. Let's have a background of this. The quest for access to the Red Sea has been a long-standing geopolitical and economic objective due to the country's nature of landlocked. The historical context of this pursuit includes several attempts, negotiations, and agreements. In 1991, following the cessation of Eritrea, Ethiopia lost direct access to the Red Sea. This is when Eritrea gained independence in 1991. And then, as a result of war between 1998 and 2000, relationship between the two countries deteriorated rapidly. Ethiopia, since 1981 up to 1998, had access to the seaport of Assab and Massawa, but following this war, Eritrea imposed a blockade on Ethiopia, and this made it restrict its access to the ports of Assab and Massawa. This blockade had severe consequences for Ethiopia import and export activities. This event left Ethiopia with no access to the Red Sea, and this prompted it to have a strategic need to secure alternative maritime routes for trade and economic development, and this led it to Djibouti. Since 1998, Ethiopia has heavily relied on port of Djibouti for its imports and exports. Djibouti port serves as a crucial gateway for Ethiopia international trade, handling the majority of maritime activities. The increased dependence on Djibouti has added logistical complexity, potentially increased transport costs affecting the overall efficiency of Ethiopia international trade. There has been efforts to make amends with Eritrea, and this has worked. Relations between the two countries have indeed improved in the recent years. The situations regarding the Ethiopian access to the ports of Assab and Massawa, despite these improvements, still remains complex and uncertain. In 2019, Ethiopia announced its intention to use the Eritrean ports of Assab and Massawa once again after a long period of being blocked from accessing these ports following the 1998-2000 war. Ethiopia now has in 2019, following the revival of the diplomatic relationship between the two countries, now Ethiopia announced that it was interested in using the ports of Eritrea. But despite the improved relations, Ethiopia has not fully secured regular access to the Eritrean ports. While sporadic shipments have occurred, there is no formal agreement. Eritrea prioritizes its own economic and development and might be cautious about granting Ethiopia significant access to its strategic ports, and this perhaps is what could have led to Ethiopia Prime Minister to declare that they have a right to access the ports, and he talked of two options. One of them is through diplomatic means, and the other one is through force if need be. Now we see that there is a deal that has been made between Somaliland and Ethiopia, and this means that the Prime Minister opted for the first option, which is diplomatic. So Ethiopia has taken the first legal steps on the path that could one day enable the country to gain access to the sea. It has signed what is known as an MOU with the self-declared Republic of Somaliland to use one of its ports, Berbera. Ethiopia Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has previously described the sea access as an existential issue for his country. He made this statement in October 2023, and this statement, as we have said earlier, left many surprised and worried, something that prompted tensions across the Horn of Africa. There were some fears that the Prime Minister's statement implied trying to take land from another of Ethiopian neighbors, and probably this was Eritrea, and this has led to some tensions. The agreement with the Somaliland paves way to realize the aspiration of Ethiopia to secure access to the Red Sea. Ethiopia has been landlocked since 1991 when Eritrea gained independence through secession. Ethiopia is portraying the developments as a major diplomatic victory. The Prime Minister wrote on X that all that can be said is thank God. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Mr. Abiy said that the agreement included a section stating that Ethiopia would recognize Somaliland as an independent country at some point in the future. And this has caused a lot of issues with Somalia. Somaliland's foreign ministry said in a statement that the historic agreement ensures Ethiopia access to the sea for their naval forces, reciprocated by a formal recognition of the country, marking this as a significant diplomatic milestone for the country. It is quoted that Mr. Abiy said that recognition will come with an exchange for 20 kilometers or 12 miles sea access for the Ethiopian naval forces, and this will be leased for a period of 50 years. Ethiopia has not commented on this aspect of the deal. Somaliland seceded from Somalia more than 30 years ago, but it is yet to be recognized by the international parties. Ethiopia lost its access to the sea, that is in the 1990s, 1991 precisely, when Eritrea gained its independence through secession. With more than 100 million people, that makes Ethiopia the most populous landlocked country in the world. Up to now, Ethiopia has been using the ports of Djibouti for its majority of imports and export. In 2018, Ethiopia and Somaliland had signed another deal that gave Addis Ababa 19% stake of the port of Berbera, with Emirati logistics company DP World holding 51% of the share, and then the government of Somaliland owning the rest of the share. But this fell through in 2022 as Ethiopia failed to meet the condition needed to acquire the stake before the deadline. But why would Ethiopia consider using Somaliland port despite having potential access to Eritrea and Djibouti ports? There are several reasons, including distance. Berbera is geographically closer to Ethiopia eastern regions compared to Eritrean ports. This translates to potentially lower transportation costs and faster shipping times. Then there is competition, where Djibouti currently is the Ethiopia primary gateway, and this can be expensive, and it's expensive really, and it's subject to congestion and other problems. So diversifying access through Berbera port and through this deal that it has signed with Somaliland could offer more competitive options. There are tensions with Eritrea, where while the relationship may have improved, mistrust and unresolved border disputes still remain. So Ethiopia thinks it should seek alternative options to mitigate dependence on Eritrea ports. Then there is an aspect of diversification, where relying on multiple ports reduces vulnerability to any single point of failure, enhancing Ethiopia's trade, security, and flexibility. Then regional partnership, where utilizing this port or Berbera port, strengthening ties with Somaliland, and potentially unlocks further economic cooperation within the Horn of Africa. There is the aspect of infrastructure development, where investing in Berbera could contribute to its development and create synergies with Ethiopia's own infrastructure projects. So what was the reaction of Somalia as far as this deal is concerned? News reports says that Somalia lashed out at the port deal signed between these two countries. It called for an emergency meeting to discuss the development, and the cabinet said that the agreement allowing Ethiopia to use the Red Sea port on Berbera was null and void. Mogadishu said that it was recalling its ambassador to Ethiopia for deliberation, claiming that the deal endangers. Somalia says that Ethiopia has stepped endangers the stability and peace on the region. There are talks between Somalia and Somaliland, the breakaway region, and the countries that agreed that they should revive the talks. It's not clear whether these talks will continue or what will happen. So Somalia and the breakaway region of Somaliland had a few weeks earlier to this deal agreed to resume dialogue to resolve issues after long-running political tensions and years of deadlock. The deal signed followed 2 weeks of talks, which were mediated by the Djibouti president Ismail Omar, the first of their kind since 2020, when similar negotiations stalled. After the lengthy discussion, the two sides agreed to resume the process of talks with a focus on issue of national interest to reach sustainable solutions. The two countries said in a joint statement that they were ready to do that. The northern region has been seeking full statehood since it claimed independence from Somalia in 1981, a move that is proposed by Mogadishu, and the move is not recognized internationally. Somaliland has often been seen as a beacon of stability in the chaotic Horn of African region, although political tensions surfaced there earlier this year, spilling over into deadly violence. In this Djibouti Pact, the two sides agreed on a roadmap for talks in 30 days, as well as collaboration on security and fight against organized crime, and pledged to work together on peace and stability in the conflict zones. Previous rounds of talks between the two sides have been held on and off between 2012 and 2020, but they failed to make a headway. Somaliland has a population of 4.5 million people with a coastline on the Gulf of Aden, and this region is a former British protectorate. So with this deal, it's not clear whether this continues, whether these talks will continue. We wait to see what will happen. The deal also raises some security concern. Ethiopia recent agreement with Somaliland for sea access through the Berbera port raises significant security concerns in the already volatile Horn of Africa region. While the deal offers economic benefits for both parties, granting Ethiopian naval access carries potential risks that could worsen existing tensions and ignite new conflicts. There's already the Somalia-Somaliland dispute, where Somalia is vehemently opposed to Somaliland claims to independence, where it views the region as its own territory. Granting naval access through Somaliland could be seen as legitimizing this sovereignty, which further strains the relationship between the two regions, and potentially could lead to armed conflict. And it's not clear whether the talks will continue. There is also the Eritrea-Ethiopia tensions. The two long-standing border dispute and recent clashes between Ethiopia and Eritrea still remain unresolved, although the relationship has improved. Ethiopia's naval presence near Eritrea could raise concerns about its intentions and potentially trigger renewed hostility. Then there is a competition for resources, where the Red Sea is a vital shipping lane for international trade, and its rich marine resources are increasingly contested. Ethiopian naval presence could be perceived as a threat by other countries in the region, leading to heightened competition and potential clashes over the maritime rights. There is militarization and arms race, where increased militarization by Ethiopia's naval access could lead to militarization of this region, with other countries feeling pressure to bolster their naval forces. This could trigger an arms race in the region, further destabilizing, leading to chaos in already fragile security situations. The presence of a powerful navy close to the Somali coast could also create opportunities for non-state actors like pirates and terrorist groups to operate with impunity, posing a threat to maritime security and regional stability. Then there is issue of domestic political stability, internal conflicts in both of these countries, Ethiopia and Somaliland. Internal conflict simmer. The presence of a foreign navy could be seen as taking sides in these internal conflicts, potentially fueling further instability and violence. There could also be public opposition in both countries, where some view this as a threat to national sovereignty, and this could lead to protests and social unrest, further complicating the situation. So what are the potential mitigation measures? There is need for transparency, open communication, and involvement of all stakeholders, including Somalia, is required in the implementation of this agreement, and this can help build trust and also address concerns. Regional cooperation, where these countries come together to foster regional cooperation on maritime security issues and address issues such as piracy and resource management. This can help alleviate concerns and help in creating a more stable environment. They should also focus on civilian uses, where they emphasize the civilian aspects of the agreement, such as trade and development. This can help de-escalate tensions and reassure neighboring countries about Ethiopia's intention. The security implications of Ethiopian naval access through this breakaway region of Somalia are complex. While the agreement holds potential economic benefits, it's crucial to address the concerns and implement mitigation measures to prevent escalation of existing tensions and emergence of a new security threat in the Horn of Africa. Now, to summary and conclusion, Ethiopia's recent pursuit of maritime access to the Red Sea has stirred regional dynamics, raising geopolitical, economic, and security consideration. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed initiated claims which invoked historical references create apprehension in this region. The subsequent port access deal with Somaliland reflects a diplomatic approach but has sparked tensions with Somalia. There is a need to talk, need for these countries to come up with a way to avoid escalating the tension. So in conclusion, while this deal holds economic promise, it introduces complex geopolitical and security challenges. The diplomatic nature of the agreement needs careful navigation to prevent worsening the already existing tensions and to foster regional stability in the Horn of Africa. So thank you for reaching this far. Let's hear your view about this deal and what may transpire. You can leave a comment, you can like the video, and also if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do. Thank you.